just a bit more on character, and let me tie character, as we have done before, to image and theme. Let me remind you that as a character fulfills their destiny in the plot of the opera, in the time-space continuum, images will attach themselves to that character, and so will themes. This was true of Mimi with the flowers and the cold and her hands. It was true with Carmen with the acacia flower and the gypsy child and her desperate need for freedom, la libertà, at the end of Act 2, and it will be true of Violetta. So, character, imagery, and theme. First of all, there are characters who wish to be independent. Perhaps you're wondering who they are. Well, they're Mimi and Carmen and Violetta. At the beginning of the opera, all three of these characters desire freedom more than anything else. And there are many ironies involved in this, namely that they cannot free themselves from their destinies. And their destinies are, in the course of the plot of the opera, to die. But before that, and without any knowledge of that approaching, they desire to be independent. All three of our heroines. And it is the men who wish to a more or less degree, possess them. This is true of Rodolfo, who stays up at night studying Mimi in bed, you remember? It certainly is true of José, who is obsessed with Carmen. And we will certainly find out it is true of Alfredo as well. These are not cruel men. They are, to some degree, obsessive. Terribly in love, way past infatuation with these women who are beautiful, fascinating. Rich or poor, powerful or not, they are all demi-mondaines. This is, in general, upper middle class, lower middle class, or middle class men who become fascinated with the demi-mondaine. So this is about women who want independence. And these women are celebrated by the composers, right? Puccini, Bizet, Verdi. They are the truly the heroines, the luminous images for these men. They are treated worshipfully to some degree. They are idealized to some degree. Now, once these pairs form and become lovers in the demimonde, the man is always reduced down into the demimonde, taken out of wherever they are, and reduced in the demimonde. And we always have the theme of ascent and descent. In general, this need for independence on the part of women means that they want to ascend. And remember, these are 19th century operas. The opportunity of a woman to ascend in those societies was not great, especially Carmen, who, as you know, had 3 or 4 strikes against her. Being a gypsy, being a criminal in the demimonde, being a prostitute, and so on and so forth. So, ascent and descent. And remember, in Carmen, we had a violent descent on the part of José, while Carmen had a striking ascent as the mistress of the greatest athlete in Spain at the time. So, is this heading toward marriage? No, it's not. There are no happy marriages in opera. I mean, nowhere in a successful opera is there a happy marriage. Children, out of the question. You will see that in the second act of La Traviata, this comes up. Both these things come up. And what themes then attach themselves to these pairs of lovers who are ascending or descending, obsessive or fighting obsession? Well, if you're in a relationship with no thought of marriage, probably there's going to be a good deal of eros involved, sexual passion. And such is the case in all these relationships. Now, eros is not love. It's not that little Latin guy riding around, flying around with bow and arrows. No, eros is sexual passion. It is as often destructive as it is lovely. And it leads in many of these 19th century stories to thanatos, to death. Freud, if you're interested, had a theory of this. And Freud, of course, was a great lover of opera and a great lover of myth and story and song. And that is where one of the sources for this late theory of eros and thanatos that he came up with. So this might be something you want to look at in a research paper or as you explore these operas. By the way, these motifs, these types of characters, character situations, the demimonde and so on, this runs all through opera from the beginning. The first great opera is Orpheus, and in Orpheus he descends. He descends to bring his wife back from the underworld, which is a kind of demimonde. So it's there from the very beginning, one of the great operas of the 20th century. Several of them are on this theme exactly. So this is a pattern. These are the elements you may want to look at. But whatever you do, remember that character goes through, in the plot, goes through an environment. The environment, many times, at least in these three operas and other operas as well, is a kind of demimonde, which is a variant of hell. And in this, images will attach themselves to the character as the character pulls through. They may be flowers, they may be temperature, they may be jewelry, as in the legend of Faust, the jewel song and so on. But these imagery, as images attach themselves to character, themes emerge. We may not all agree on what these themes are, but we know that they attach themselves to characters and characters represent them. So, there you are.